You
What
mentioned this year's Celtics team or today's Celtics team. Do you see any similarities in today's Celtics championship squad or championship level squad rather this season trying to go back to back? Do you see any similarities from this team compared to some of the teams back in the 1980s?
Well, I mean, I just think that they're good. They know they're good, and getting that championship last year really kind of changes things, allows them to. I just think they know how good they are. I think they're by far the best team. I know Oak City beat them twice, and you could, I suppose. I just don't think anybody can beat them. Anytime I see them, if there's a seed of doubt, they just put that away right away. And I really believe that about Cleveland. I just think Cleveland can't beat them in a 7-game series. Too much depth, and maybe maybe that's when Al Horford cracks and shows he's old, or I don't know. I mean, Derek White shows he's human. Whatever. Derek White's he's so great. I mean, how did they get him from San Antonio for nothing? And Tatum and Brown are at the height of their powers, and no one has an answer for the two-pronged these great wingmen that just are better than everybody. So yeah, it's a great team, and I'd be stunned, barring catastrophic injury to the aforementioned people. I think they win again.
what has it been like seeing the evolution of sports? Obviously, you saw the triumphs of the '60s, '70s, and '80s for the Boston Celtics, and then heading into Loserville from '86 to '02, as you mentioned, and into the rise of success amongst all four sports teams in Boston. Do you feel like the pressure has increased upon the Boston sports media to cover just because of the interest amongst Bostonians?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now there's tremendous interest in the Celtics. They're so good, and the team. The Red Sox are back on the rise again. The Patriots, back-to-back 4-win seasons, but they're thought of as a team on the rise because of the new coach, because of Drake May. Now the Bruins have lost all hope. It's an unusual situation, so that's the one that's really trending the wrong way. But the Celtics are on top, and expectations are high, and people your age have just been spoiled. Nobody's fault there, but 13 parades in this century is crazy. We went, like I said, 1986 to 2002 with nothing, and now 13 parades in this century, and every indication you could get another one this spring. So, yeah, it's still the high renaissance in my view. We're still in it, and I don't that we just the Celtics ended a 5-year drought last year, which is a crazy statement. You go to some places like Cleveland, or there's just some droughts go decades and centuries and this kind of thing. So yeah, we're in a good place.
What are your thoughts on all the tournaments that have been introduced in the NBA the last few years? We had the play-in tournament get introduced in 2021, where basically 10 of the 16 teams in each conference have a chance at least to get a playoff spot. And then just more recently, we had the NBA Cup introduced in 2023 to act as somewhat of a mid-season tournament. Do you see the value in these, or do you think the NBA has a tournament problem?
Well, yeah, I mean, the NBA Cup is second only to the All-Star debacle. And I understand there's I guess maybe some young people are into it. There's a soccer model there, and but no, thank you. I pay no attention to it. I doubt I ever will. The play-in tournament's a little better, but I still, it's like, okay, Celtics are 2. Who's going to be 7? So that's my level of interest in that. I wouldn't give it any attention if it weren't for that, because you got 4 possibilities. So who's going to end up in 7? So I'll monitor it from afar for that. But whether it's Miami or Charlotte or whoever, I don't worry about those teams. You guys probably know the Pistons. Where do they fit into it? Because they look like trouble to me. Are they going to be in the play-in in the 4 teams?
They'll be a 5 seed probably.
Okay. So
they've more than
solidified
tripled
playoff
their
team.
win total from the year
okay.
prior.
So that if they probably, the Celtics can't get them in the second round then if they're a 5, right?
No, it would be either New York or Milwaukee. It looks like.
Right, I'm figuring New York all the way, and again, just another cakewalk because the Knicks just suck against them and are fraudulent. But I see Detroit as a little, and I haven't followed this closely like you guys, but they look like trouble to me. So I'm interested. I'm interested from afar, see how they how they land, because that's to me better than most of those bums in the play-in tournament.
Well,
Right,
send
without a
that clip
doubt.
to one of our co-hosts. He's a very big Pistons fan. He'll enjoy
Very.
that.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit about Jayson Tatum here,
Sure.
because this is a guy right now that it feels like is taking the steps to be the next Celtics great. And you've seen some amazing greats and Celtic stars put on some amazing performances. And you look at a guy like Tatum in the trajectory in which his career is moving. Do you think he can reach the status of kind of the big three that the Celtics see, and guys like Hondo, Bird, and Russell? Can he get there?
Well, I mean, these are tricky because you start talking about old people, and I mean, for guys like Bob Ryan and myself, like the greatest Celtic, the five. I mean, he's a better player than Bob Cousy was, But I mean,
right.
You look in the time, Cousy was MVP in '57. He's 6'1" guard, so Tatum hasn't done that. So it's like measured against the people who were playing at the time he played. Yeah, but I mean, Tatum. I mean, his ceiling is so high, and he's literally unstoppable in a lot of ways with the ball, because he's either going to get fouled or get his way, unless things tighten up. And there's been a little issue with the tightening up part. I mean, he scored 60. I mean, he's capable, which very few have done. He's got a championship now. He's a little boring. I think his personality doesn't lend itself to a lot. And it's funny how he's hovered in that 4 or 5 spot for their MVP. He just can't seem to crack into the top 3 in good years or mediocre years. And these are his prime years. I think the Olympic thing, that's unfortunate. That didn't help. And it's not all Steve Kerr. He wasn't comfortable, whatever that was. And
right.
that's a hard one to overcome, because I know when the Dream Team in '92, I think Karl Malone got a little exposed in that, just because, Barkley's better, these kinds of things that you couldn't really tell until they were all together. So I worry about that a little bit for him. But yeah, I mean, if you go with, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, John Havlicek, Bob Cousy, and Paul Pierce or Kevin McHale, that's usually the top 6. He's going to be in there. I mean, clearly he already is, and skill-wise, he's better than a lot of them. So we get that. So yeah, it'll be fun to see how it rolls moving forward.
Right.